Made a poster board that was supposed to be about ourselves. Everybody did a bunch of pictures of themselves and their family and a bunch of writing. My poster was of a bunch of pics I got off the internet representing myself. I'm not too shy, but I get stage fright easily, so I was kind of squirming the whole time and struggling to find the words to say, especially after the other students' great presentations. The absolute low point was when I gestured to the lolcat pic that had a cat with dilated pupils, and the caption saying catnip kitty tink's colors are pretty, and stammered out that I was funny. Nobody even cracked a smile. By the end of the presentation I was tearing up and so hot with embarrassment that it felt like someone poured hot coffee on my head. Did I mention this happened in college?
Yeah.
Two of the weirdest guys at my school got in a fight over the weirdest girl at the school. For a while, there was a little love triangle thing where they both shared her, but really just did her bidding like weird little love slaves. So, the two guys finally get to the point where they're tired of this girl giving time and attention to the other guy, so they decide to fight. They publicly agree to a time and place, and scheduled a fight. As I'm typing this, I cannot tell you how similar this is to the episode of The Office where Dwight and Andy agree to duel over Angela. So neither guy shows up to the fight, and one dude apparently leaves the other a voicemail saying that bad things happen to bad people with no other context. I hadn't mentioned it yet, but these guys are both juniors in college. Maybe not full-fledged adults, but definitely adults with training wheels. Everyone in our school had to take this class, where we all give a 10 to 15-minute presentation on personal growth, and what it means to us both personally and professionally. Key, 10 to 15 minutes. Weird guy number 1 gets up and says I was once too afraid to claim what was mine. You probably know what I'm talking about. I'm not afraid anymore. And then he sat down. He had a 15-minute block of time and spoke for about 10 seconds. FUCK, that guy was weird. Had to give a final speech of any subject for my communications class. My dad figure died like a week before it was due, so I decided to deliver a heartfelt speech about spending time with loved ones while you can, all while choking back tears. I got AB-. When I was in the 5th grade, this cringy weird kid in our class brought an acoustic guitar to show his playing/singing ability. I remember thinking, oh, good for him. He's got some hidden talent, and maybe he'll get some social points for this. Nope. He proceeded to play literally one note, not even a chord, while singing the following lyrics. Going downtown. Going downtown. Going downtown. The whole class, including the teacher, was just staring at him with slack jaws. Someone finally couldn't hold it in and snorted a little. That's when unfortunately everyone started laughing. He stood up red-faced and walked out of the class. I felt bad for him, but what the fuck was he thinking? Why did his mother let him leave the house with the guitar knowing he couldn't play anything? My own in the 7th grade, when I thought it was appropriate to show a 22-minute long video that I made about animal abuse using stuffed animals and interviewing a Hilary Duff poster. One time I had a Google Slides presentation, and at the end I put random pictures of Doctor Who and Star Wars things, Dalek, Cyberman, etc., and someone asked if a Dalek was R2-D2 from Star Trek. German oral exam. Teacher asked what my hobbies were. I said reading books. She said, what's a book that you've read? I said the name of the only book I knew that was German. Yes. That one. She stuttered repeatedly while reading the rest of the questions. Had a boner. One time I had a presentation about cotton. Well, I just copied the text from Wikipedia. The 10-year-old dumbass that I was trying to read words as Gossypium hirsutum, Nebenkelblätter, and Flansengattung. I hate German. Not all bad, but I made the entire final presentation the night before. Had massive anxiety problems pre-speech, because I had not prepared at all. I got a 98, because I was the only person that followed the directions. I once did an entire PowerPoint, research paper, and presentation on how tariffs in early America affected farmers from the viewpoint of the farmer, without a clue of how tariffs impacted farmers. At the end of my teacher goes, that was a really good presentation, but it was completely not on what it should have been. In 6th grade, tried to do a presentation on the US government's killing of Native Americans during the 19th century, American genocide. My teacher, Mrs. Bixler, stopped me just as I was starting, saying that my subject was inappropriate, and told me to return to my seat. In 4th grade we had to do a presentation about a career we might want to do. Me and another kid both chose stand-up comedy. So the teacher put us together. I think the plan was to talk about comedy history, especially on duos like Abbott and Costello, and then the arc of performing at nightclubs up to arenas when, not if, you got really popular. And we planned to tell a bunch of jokes. But we didn't know each other too well, and we had no chemistry. So it was a disaster. We fumbled over lines, talked over each other, etc. The cringe memory that pops into my head while I'm falling asleep is that he gave the setup to a joke, and instead of me saying I don't know what for him to give the punchline, I actually said the punchline. He was stunned and said, yeah. That's very good. The teacher put a stop to it. Our classmates were like, what was that? We were not friends at all after that. In high school world geography class, I worked on a presentation about the Middle East with a girl. I didn't know almost anything about anywhere other than Canada, so good thing I was taking the course. She was from one of the countries over there, and I learned a lot from her making the presentation. Until she loaded it up whenever the day was, and she'd changed some of it, and let's say she had some pretty hateful feelings about some of the countries over there. I just remember being completely blindsided and embarrassed, then suddenly in the middle of some heated arguments I didn't really understand. In a college course on public speaking, one student got up and gave his presentation on his love for another student. One who he had never spoken to or interacted with. At my college in my geography class, we all had to do group presentations on a developing country and a major problem they are facing. One group decides to do Ethiopia and their mass poverty problem. Their whole slideshow was bright colors like pink and spring green with random templates with glitter effects, cartoon airplanes, flowers, party ribbon, and weirdest of all a slide with the South Park characters in the bottom left corner. It looked like a child's birthday invitation. Their title page was in big purple glittery letters. They had all this in the background, with text and pictures describing mass poverty in Ethiopia. One slide had an image of emaciated skin and bone children, with a pink floral template. To top it off, they were not confident of what they were saying and spoke softly, and did not complete or explain the text and photos on the slides. The presentations were supposed to be 40 minutes long, and theirs was under 20. When asked questions at the end, they literally said they did not know the answer. What makes it even further worse is that this is a college-level class. And the instructor is from Ethiopia. So we used to do these big assemblies in high school about treating everybody the same, and a girl in our grade asked our teacher if she could say something. She then went over with the teacher what she would say, and the teacher agreed it was fine, and gave her 5 minutes. Well, it turned out that the girl lied about what she was going to say, and got up there, and told everybody how she is asexual, and has never really felt normal, and even though she has a boyfriend she was never attracted to him or anyone else. That the students at the school, and the teachers never respected or treated her properly. It was Akko Taco. I had a group final presentation for a college class with 2 other people. I didn't show up because I had been high on crystal meth and tripping on shrooms for the previous 24 hours. Not my finest hour. My high school final oral exam. A bit of background first. I prepared an essay about my favorite book and his author and studied it very well, ready to expose it to all my teachers. I never had issue talking to an audience. I also played in theater when I was younger, so I would never have imagined such anxiety while speaking to my teachers. Anyway, while telling them the story of this author at a young age, I was so tense that I said his father and his mother without even noticing. The whole presentation was a shit show, but they appreciated my efforts and gave me a good mark. Had to do a presentation on something where my group had faked all the data, and me and the other person presenting refused to accept this, so we were very explicit about having not done the research required, which caused massive fucking issues. Woo. Not me, but a student in my 9th grade English class many years ago. It was just a simple public speaking presentation. 5-minute speech. I had already given mine, so I was barely paying attention, doodling in my notebook, or whatever. My classmate, let's call him Chris, is giving an extremely boring speech on an extremely dull topic in a monotone voice, essentially reading off his note cards. Boring. No one is paying attention. No one is laughing or reacting in any way. Suddenly, I hear a wham from the front of the classroom. I look up. Chris is in on the floor. He has partially passed out / fainted. The interesting part is that, even face down on the floor, he's still mumbling out his speech. Fainting didn't improve his speech. The teacher rushes to the front of the room. She had been sitting with the students to observe and grade Chris's speech. Chris is okay. Another student is tasked to escort Chris to the nurse's office. In the end, it was a memorable speech, even though 30+ years later, I don't remember a word of it. Chris was fine. No permanent damage. Except to his ego.
Hey!